Hey everyone, this is Soke Briggs. We're here with Grandmaster Bill Wallace, Kyoshi Herfurth, and Sensei Briggs. We're here at our house in Clay Valley, North Carolina. We're getting ready to go into Sparta in a few minutes. Grandmaster Wallace is here. He's going to teach a seminar for us here today. We've been pretty much with him all weekend.
Yep.
You've been Christiansburg,
Radford, and now we're here in good old Sparta.
Sparta, North Carolina. Well, close to it. We'll be there in a minute.
He'll be there shortly.
But we're here in Sparta, North Carolina, and we're honored to have him come in and teach a seminar for us with our class here, and spend the weekend with each other pretty much.
Yeah.
We sing each other every day since Thursday.
Having a good time.
Yeah. So we're just going to make a small video and put it on our podcast, put it on our YouTube channel and stuff like that. We're going to ask Grandmaster Wallace here if he has, we'll ask him a few questions about some things. And I guess we'll start off by saying thank you for being here. And what you got any plans for the seminar? Are you going to impromptu it?
Well, find out what everybody can do. Find out how they like to kick, how they like to move, and work with the sparring aspect, the movement aspect of it, and how to work a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of strengthening exercises, a little bit of speed. When I was competing, I was fairly quick, and I was strong, but I didn't fight strong. And there's different ways of fighting, different ways of sparring, and you can tell a lot by working with a person how he moves and how he works with his techniques and so forth. And in my entire career, I used 5 techniques, but I used them very well. So they how to work those techniques and how to change and play with it and modify it and help people with their movements. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. I know as far as you and I go, we go back a few years. 1988 at the Karate College is where we first met. And
yes, sir.
First time I got to taste of your philosophy, your kicking and stuff. So we've been with each other pretty much since 1988.
Yeah.
And then in 89 and so forth. We see you every year also in Atlantic City.
Hall of Fame thing, yeah.
I know Kyoshi has met him a couple of times.
Right? Yes, you won't remember me, I'm sure, because one time I was with a very pretty girl.
I remember the hair.
Well, I was like 60 pounds lighter, and I had some hair. And the first time I met you was at Long Beach International. There's some kickboxing events, and I got a card, and you were coming out signing the cards. And I was the first one in line, and I made sure I was the first one in line. And you have no idea what a thrill that was. Other thrills. I've had only a couple big thrills in my life that I consider besides being married to my wife. And that was.
We need to have a talk.
Yeah. But when I came from a really broken home, and so when you're looking for heroes, and you were my hero growing up.
Thank you.
And I was like, that's how I want to kick, and that's how I do things. So I really picked up on it, and I love the philosophy of stripping things down, because no matter all the other kicks I do in the dojo, your psychological and physiological makeup. And you have said this, or it'd be in the magazines or in interviews, and it was true for me, anyways, is that you're only going to do a few primary techniques when it comes down to it. So really master those, and because of you, I had a defensive side kick that I could kick at will on people.
And that's what's great. Our job as instructors is to teach everything.
Right.
Because I don't know you guys that well, other than being friends and things, but I don't know your philosophical outlook on life. So, and I don't know your movements that you can do and you can't do. So all I can do is teach all of them to you. Mm-hmm. And you as a student will take those techniques, find out the ones that you like, find out the ones you don't like, discard those. Mm-hmm. The ones that you do like, you find out the ones that you can do.
Right.
If you ever watch, you go to a Karate Kid school, and the first move that everybody wants to do is that double jumping spinning back kick. Mm-hmm. Till they find out it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Right. and then they never do it again.
Right.
But they want it. Everybody wants to do it at first. Right. You put it back out there, and he wants to run up there, and then they find out it doesn't work. They fall down or whatever the case is. So they start doing something like a front kick, right? Because those work side kick, round kick, and they say, "Wow!" And then everybody punches it. Why? Because that's the very first thing you did in class,
right?
In all of point competition throughout the entire world, and boxing, the combination of the number one combination is jab cross. Mm-hmm. which we've done since day one in our karate background.
Right.
It's the very first technique you learn. So if you keep doing it over and over and over, it becomes second nature.
Right.
Then find a couple techniques that you like, that you can do, that you don't have to think about.
Right.
And those are the ones that's going to work for you in competition. Because, I mean, I was a fairly good competitor, and I could watch my opponent's eyes, and I could tell what they were going to do. Because you can see he'll go. And that little simple little turn like this says, he's not going to punch, now he's going to kick.
Right.
So you go, okay, now I can keep my arms because I know you probably can't get the kick to the head. So okay, now you're stuck. Because now you got to turn back, which now you've told me what I can do.
Exactly.
So it's kind of wild, and all this happens in 2 minutes.
And since when I met you for the first time in 1988 at the Karate College, you taught that same concept up there. And to this day, we'll still teach that.
Okay.
I'm like, we have to teach you everything. And you have to do everything.
You have to do it all.
But when it comes time to compete, you need to find, we tell them in class, you need to find 4 to 5 good techniques that you're good at.
Maybe not even that, you know.
Right.
See, you know.
And then learn how to set them
Yeah,
up.
it's like, you know, if you watch the Karate Kid 2 movie, when he was out there and all you do is reverse punch over and over and over and over and over, reverse punch, right? So he goes to this party, this guy coming back, hits him, didn't even think about it, hits him with the reverse punch. Well, I fight sideways because I've had to because of my knee, and I don't have a reverse punch. I can make a bag sing. I hit, you know, with bag gloves, and I can make it sing. But then you put somebody in front of me and say, hit him. And I say, okay. Okay. Okay.
Right.
And it won't do it. It just won't do it. I'm left-handed, and I can nail it, but it won't go.
Right.
Today sometime.
Right.
But it does a really good job of protecting my face.
Right.
So I'm settled for that.
Right. Yeah. And we also teach the same concept of the KISS method. Keep it simple.
Yep.
Don't try any flashy stuff. Do what works for you.
Well, I was turned a flashy kicker. Have a side kick, a roundhouse kick, and a hook kick. What's flashy about those? You learn those the first month of class, right?
Right.
But then what I do is that when I teach, put them together.
Right.
The side kick, you got to drop your elbow to defend against the side kick. Now your head's open for the roundhouse kick or the hook kick. Or I can stick the hook kick there. You chase the hook kick. Now you're open for the side kick. And I throw the back, you can put your hand down. The side kick's right there. So pretty soon I'm getting you to move. And if you think about it, if you look at me here, what's open? Absolutely everything. There's nothing that's not open. But now when I turn sideways, I put my arm down my side, my shoulder comes up, and I'm sideways. You don't see anything to hit.
Right.
Now, you gotta go, okay, where's the open? And all the time you're trying to find an opening. All the time you're psychologically figuring something out. Your muscles are contracting, they're tightening up because you're anticipating. Now you've just become slower.
Right.
I like that part.
That's the good part, yes.
Yeah, I like that part.
And you've known him since, when was the first time you all met? 5 years ago, maybe? And Alan
I think
Goldberg's
about 5 years ago, the first
Goldberg, Alan Goldberg, wow.
event
Yeah,
that I went to
Marshall.
Alan Goldberg, and I already knew who Mr. Wallace was because I had followed him and that foot for quite some time as a kid.
I like the foot.
Yes, and was thrilled, absolutely thrilled beyond measure to meet you the first time. That was truly a dream come true to meet you, and I just absolutely love you. Have since the first day I met
Oh,
you,
Lord. Here we go.
and just thrilled to have you here with us.
Turn it off. We have a date. We're gonna go to lunch.
Yes, but yes, what an honor it
Well,
is.
Yeah, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I really, really do. From you know the books and all that. But what I want everybody to understand is, I'm a normal person. Chuck Norris is a great person. Steven Seagal, we're all normal people. We put our pants on one leg at a time. Have to tie our shoes like everybody else has to tie their shoes. Knock on wood, I was good at what I did, competition, and because it was fun. you know, when I was at Ball State University after I got out of the service, I would teach a couple friends karate so we could spar. I'm going to teach just enough so you can punch back and kick back so we can spar. And that was the fun of it. And my wrestling background, my judo background and so forth came from that, but I've never been in a street fight. Of all the years that I've been doing this stuff, I've never been in a street fight.
To this day.
To this day. And I got, in high school, I got in one little fight. 2 punches and it was over.
But you're a, 7-time kickboxing champion. I mean, that's better than any street fight.
But, you know,
you got better stories with that.
But think about this. If we get in a street fight, basically there's no holds barred.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you got in your pocket. I don't know what you have around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
When I was fighting in the ring, I had a center referee
Mm-hmm.
that I knew if his guy caught me good and dropped me, he's going to jump in and protect me. Out there's nobody to protect you.
Right.
So you got to go, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, you watch movies, you guys getting punched in the mouth or something like that, and they go down, blood all over the place. I went, I don't want that to happen to me.
Right. Yeah.
You know, then you find out during the course of martial arts training, you get punched or you get kicked, and it didn't hurt that much.
Mm-hmm.
You go, wow, I can take that. Wow. Then I find out, says, well, hold it now. After a while, it does hurt.
Right.
So I said, well, I don't want to get hit. And if you watch sparring point tournaments, if I touch you before you touch me, I win.
Mm-hmm.
But now you got to take it a little bit further by going, is it just a touch or I put it that deep?
Mm-hmm.
And if I put it that deep, maybe you'll leave me alone. Maybe, you know. And then we started the kickboxing. The first time we started kickboxing, Joe Lewis calls me up. Mike Anderson from Florida called him and says, we're going to do full contact karate. You guys have a wonderful time. Enjoy yourself. No, Bill, you're our middleweight. I says, no, I'm not. Right now, I can throw a punch or a kick, think I could kill you, not even ever have to prove it. So my ego works really good.
Yeah.
And if, all of you out there that's ever sparred somebody and hit somebody with your best shot, and your opponent backs up and goes, good shot, you go, uh-oh. Because not everything that we throw, even though we might throw it the best we can, doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to go, your ego's got to go way up there, and then all of a sudden all the way down. When Joe Lewis and I were best friends, when we did our exhibition match in 1990, I hit him with a counter hook kick, one of the best hook kicks I've ever thrown in my life. I said, oh my God, I've killed him. I've hit Joe Lewis right there with the heel. I said, he's dead. I've crushed his face. He backs up and goes, ow. And I went, just kidding. Didn't mean a word of it.
Right.
So, you know, think about it. All we can do in all our life is throw the technique.
Mm-hmm.
It might not even be a karate kick. Might be getting in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Might be walking outside with your wife. All we can do is do the technique. Whatever happens after that is the combination that we work.
Right.
You know, if you realize in boxing, everything is a combination. What's the purpose of a combination? To create an opening. Life is the same thing. I open the door for you. All of a sudden, we become friends. You learn to hate me. Ken goes, oh. And Christy goes, I got that. So what happens is we have all this stuff, and it's all life.
Mm.
You know, martial arts, you know, was designed as a martial, which means military, art. I've been doing this now since 1963. Well, really since about 1959, because I was a wrestler in high school too, in junior high school. So, and wrestling is a martial art. People don't realize, but it's a martial art, probably the first one. Why? Because you got a piece of meat, I want the piece of meat, I grab the piece of meat, so we tussle around to see who grabs the piece of meat. There was no punching or kicking, no hitting with a stick. We just wrestling, more or less. Then it became more advanced. But you go, okay, why am I doing this? And in this day and age, with all the stuff that's going on, you have the confidence to do what you need to do. Kids nowadays, you start martial arts. My granddaughter did gymnastics. She loved gymnastics. Then she watched me do some stuff. She wants to do martial arts. So she does martial arts for a while. Then changes his mind and wants to do something else. In this, back in the old days,
Let me ask this. Where's your granddaughter live at?
Tallahassee, Florida.
So I can imagine I'm in a dojo and some young girl comes in and says, I want to try martial arts. The instructor is teaching her martial arts, and then he finds out that her grandfather was Bill Superfoot Wallace. How would that go? I mean, I'm seriously, I'd be like, holy crap, the pressure's really on now.
Well, matter of fact, that's what happened. They used to live in North Carolina. Remember when we went up to Perry Gibson's to do a seminar? Usually I did a seminar in High Point. One of their friends had a school since when he's moved. But anyway, and High Point is just a little ways from Greensboro. So I'm teaching a seminar, and I call my daughter up. Her and her husband and my two granddaughters come over there, watch the class. Next thing I know, the youngest granddaughter, wants to take karate. So I talked to the guy, and he says, bring her over. So she's taking karate for about a year or so. But when you're 12 years old,
Right.
all of a sudden you want to do it, and
Right.
next hour you don't.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it's so.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure teaching Bill Wallace this granddaughter's martial arts.
A little intimidating.
I mean, I've known you since '88, but I'm still.
Wait till this afternoon.
Yeah. I know what's coming. Maybe some of the rest of them don't know what's coming, but I know what's coming this afternoon.
Augie's over here. He's young.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he'll heal quickly.
Yeah. Well, we kind of used him as a punching bag
Oh,
yesterday. He's a brown buddy. Ernie's right?
Yeah, well,
in order to
see,
get his black.
The brown belt right now is okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
But the more blood that's on
Right.
the brown belt, it turns darker.
Right. And eventually becomes black.
It's like the black eyes.
Right.
And,
Right. Yeah.
bruises on the.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It only hurts for a while. then it goes numb. So it's okay.
Motrin and Epsom salt
Oh, yeah,
could
yeah.
be your friend. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I just think it's amazing that and we talked about this morning when you woke up and we were sitting at the kitchen island talking.
Having donuts.
Right, having donuts.
That's right.
I just think it's amazing that 77 years old, you're doing things and you've got teenage kids and people in their 20s and 30s like, oh, I can't do that. But you're out here still teaching seminars, still traveling, still doing belt promotions, and just as active as,
But
I mean, you're not as active as you used to be, but you're still very
Well,
active.
I do seminars every weekend because it's fun. I started to hate the traveling. Looking for the Star Trek to where they beam me up, Scotty. Because oftentimes, except for this weekend, I'll come and let's say I go to Charlotte. So I fly from West Palm Beach to Charlotte. They pick me up. I get there Friday evening, sleep in a hotel. Saturday morning, I do a seminar for 4 hours, 5 hours. They take me to the airport, I fly home. And you find out, hold it. I'm in the airplane longer than I'm doing the seminar.
Yeah.
Then if I fly someplace else right after that, now I'm on a plane even longer. The seminars, so you go, okay. So a lot of times I like to drive, have a nice fun by myself driving. Sometimes I'll have a friend or something when I go to the seminar too. But I learned just as much from the students as hopefully they learn from me, because we're all built differently.
Right.
We have different strengths, we have different weaknesses, different flexibilities we're going to find out about a little bit later. But most important, we're different right here psychologically. Why do we want to do it? I was a wrestler, so I'm used to in close. But when I fight, I don't want to be close to you at all, because I want to kick. Yeah. But the kicking comes from my wrestling background. I was a leg wrestler. I was a scissor man. I would tie in all kinds of knots. I put the guillotine in, put the figure four in, put the Roman candle in, put the bananas, tie in all kinds of knots, right? So, and I wanted to, when I started judo, to use my legs. So the seotoshi, hanigoshi, haraigoshi, all these throws, seotoshi, you use your legs to do the throw. And then I tore my knee up playing judo. So I said, well, now I'm done. But then all of a sudden, hold it. They kick, don't they?
Mm.
And I only have one leg because I tore the medial ligament. So I said, why can't I do the same thing with my left leg that everybody else does with both legs? Because if you, the roundhouse kick that you're taught is usually with the rear leg first.
Mm-hmm.
As you throw the rear leg, it comes around and you go hold it. That takes a long time to get there. And as you're turning from this, coming around, all of a sudden right there, you're wide open. And I go, yes, you are.
Yeah.
So you start, conceiving these ideas of how to counter a guy. So well, when I first started karate, I'm in Okinawa, Kadena Air Base.
Yeah.
Air Base. So I go downtown Naha
Right.
to Eizo Shimabuku school. At that time, it was Budokan was the school. And I'm sitting there watching class. This black belt comes and says, "You do karate." What? You do karate? And my friend with me says, "Do you want to do karate?" And I says, "Yeah, it looks like it'd be a lot of fun." You stand up. I said, "I got a cast." "No problem, you stand up." So I stand up. He says, "We the yoga getty." Hell's a yoga getty. Side the kicker. Side, now, where the A's come from, I don't know. Side the kicker. So I stand up, I said, and he brought us up, does a side kick, about knee, thigh height. He says, "You do that." And I watched it come out, okay. So I did it about 15,000 times.
Right.
Because I can't move, so I can just stand up and bring the leg until the kick. That's over, so I'm sitting down watching the class. We leave. The next week, I'm thinking about it. I said, kind of need to go back. So my friend and I go back. He says, you're back. Now do Mwashieri.
Another Japanese word. What's
Just
a
look
Mwashieri?
at it. What the hell is Mwashieri? Roundhouse kicker. Roundhouse kicker. Oh, goody. So he showed the round without the from the front leg because I couldn't twist. So I threw the round kick, about 15,000 of those buggers. A couple months go by. I get out of the cast. So I want to take the regular class. So the old, traditional, and down from the fighting stance, but I couldn't push off with my right leg. You step forward and push. I couldn't because it was still, the ligament was very weak. So I just kind of stand. I said, "What do you want?" I said, "Here goes my right leg." He says, "Kibidachi."
What the heck's a Kibidachi?
What the hell is Kibidachi? Horse stance. Riding horse stance. Hence, since that time, since 1966, Wallace used a horse stance.
Yep.
Because the knee's slightly bent, so it's stronger,
Mm-hmm.
and it's as far away from my opponent as it can possibly be, which is a good point too. And I can step with my front leg, take the weight off my rear leg, and I place my front leg with my rear leg, so it's, and that's my, rather that. And that's what's been all this time.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
It's
nothing's
definitely
changed.
worked out for you.
For me, yep.
Yeah.
For me,
Right.
and all I can do, all we can all do when we're teaching is give our students ideas and let them work it. Just like Michael Jordan. Never started at North Carolina. Never started. Did you know that?
No, I did not know
He
that.
never started. He didn't start he was not on the first five. Then all of a sudden he became great.
Well, that's when he was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he played basketball, I think, till his senior year in high school.
Was it? But you go, wow.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was. You look at kids now that start when they're 3 and 4 years old, and you watch them drop speed. You kick straight up, and you do bam, 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 bam. You go, wow. The trouble is, from the 5 years old to the 6 years old to the 7 years old to when they become a young adult, so much is going to change in their brain. 9 times out of 9,999 times out of 10,000, they're not going to be there when they're 21.
Right.
Something will be different.
Yep.
I'll get a job. Don't have the time anymore.
Or
I
a woman
fall in
comes
love.
along.
Yeah, I fall in love. or
Sports.
sports. Yeah. I had a seminar this weekend down at High Point. The kid's a basketball player. His knee screwed up because he twisted it. Can you train it? I really love karate. I can't do it because my knee's busted. How'd you playing basketball? Oh wow. Now this kid North Carolina, kid's maybe 5'8", 5'9", my height. And I said, and he's a junior in high school.
Mhm.
Unless you jump up really good, then you gain a foot. By the time you get to college, your basketball career is done.
Right.
Because I mean, think about this: you have a point guard that's 6'8".
Mhm. Yeah.
So if you're 5'9" and you're the point guard, you can't even shoot it over him.
Right.
You shoot, you just,
Unless you're Bugsy Bogues.
yeah. But then you got to do all that faking on it, but then you're
Right.
tired.
Right.
Or something else happens, or soccer. There's so many things now that kids can do. Volleyball.
Mhm. So much stuff in the peripheral.
Yeah, and you just, luckily, certain amount of people love it,
Mhm.
and they'll stick with it.
Mhm.
What kills me is to see somebody that's got a ton of talent as a kid. You can just see it oozing out of their body. Pick up stuff, and they'll do it for like 2 or 3 years, and put that time in and start to get really good, and something to come along and just get them sidetracked and
Or just get bored.
Right.
I remember my first year in college. This is funny for all you people out there. If you're an instructor, I remember this the first week of class at Ball State University. My instructor says, when you teach a class, teach them 2 things. Something that they know, so they become comfortable. Then you teach them something that they don't know, so they'll come back tomorrow to learn how to do it. You teach them 2 things that they know, they're bored. Basics.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, 3/4 of the class now is basics.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I've done that 35,000 times, Coach. Do I have to do 2 more? Yes. Now you're thinking where you'd rather be,
Mhm.
right? And then the second thing is, then you teach them if you teach them 2 things that they don't know, they're lost. And they won't come back. And you go, wow. You don't think about it.
That close down.
You walk into class, these kids walk into class the very first day. You're popping off all this Japanese terminology that they've never heard. There used to be a tournament in Hawaii called the Mainland versus Hawaii.
Mhm.
I was on Ed Parker's team a couple
Mhm.
times. We went to a Japanese class, strictly Japanese class. These 2 Japanese were up front. Everything's in Japanese. H, Lee, San, Shi, Yogigeri, Mawashi Yogigeri, Urigeri, Yogigeri. And these girls were in the back going,
Right.
because they had no idea what, probably the class had 60, 70 people in it. The first 2 rows were doing the techniques. But the last 3 rows, nobody would come up and show them how to do it.
Mhm.
It's just, I guess you learn by osmosis. But
Right.
but you understand in the Asia, there is no soccer, basketball, whatever it is. So it's either do that or nothing.
Mhm.
And that's all you have time for doing. And that's your life saving aspect in Okinawa, because that's what you do. Katas, forms, technique.
Mhm.
The Japanese overlords wouldn't let you congregate.
Mhm.
So that's where kata came from. You practice the techniques by yourself. Then all of a sudden somebody puts these things together into a form, a set form. Now some of these forms you say, who was this guy that came up with this idea for this form? Like Seisan. In Okinawa, the last technique of the form is designed to end the fight.
Mhm.
In Seisan, that's the last technique. Nobody ever told me, do I break his neck? Am I breaking his foot? Or am I just, squeezing the orange, or what am I doing? Really, you got different, Mokai.
They don't teach
What
you
is
that.
that?
What is that? Right, yeah.
What is it? Well, no. So why are we doing it?
Right.
Well, because we're told to, because I can charge a little bit more when you take your next class.
Yeah.
Because, it's like boxing. Those people that like boxing, in all the world, there's 4 punches: the jab, the cross, the hook, and the uppercut. That's all there are. Unless you're going to compete.
Everything else is a
You
there's
do
a
that.
repetition of it.
Yeah, you got to repetition. Then you start working the endurance. You work in the back, you work the speed back, you work the combination, you work the double end ball, you work this. Then you go out in the ring and you say, I don't want to spar. So what's to look forward to?
Right.
It's never going to help you in self-defense because you've never hit anybody. So you don't know about the time. You throw a punch at me, you hit me. because you never had to defend before.
Right.
So that's why a lot of times the self-defense, you know, like we individuals, most of us took karate as a self-defense to start with. If we really wanted to find out who was the better fighter, let's just put the gloves on and knock the hell out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we want to find a nice, sneaky, mystical way of beating up the bad guy. The deadlock. The 5-point death. And you go, and then you find out after classes, they don't work.
Right. That doesn't work at all.
Yeah. And you go, well, think about this. In Okinawa, we learn Gakuzuki, Wazuki, Seikenzui, Oyo, and you thousands of those things. Then you start working in Makiwara board. You build up the knuckles, you build up the power, the shoulders, the hips and shoulders. And all of a sudden, your sensei says, no, we do kumite. No, they're Japanese, right? What's kumite? We fight. Hold it. Time out on the field here.
Right.
You're telling me this punch is going to kill somebody, and now we're going to fight using those punches. Yes. Something doesn't seem right, coach.
Yeah.
He said, oh, no. We use kimi. We focus. Oh. But is it here or there?
There, right.
This deep in my ribs or just this deep? So we practice control. But also, your body has to learn to take some of this stuff. So sometimes you go, when the instructor walks around with a bamboo shinai, beats you on the arms, beat you on the back of your legs, your ribs, you go, I signed up for this. Yeah, and you get used to it. I never did.
It's funny you say that. When I started taking martial arts as a kid, I think it was my green belt test, I got my butt handed to me in a horrible way. And so I was actually fairly close to home, maybe like a mile and a half. So I walked back home, and that night when my dad saw me, he's like, what happened to you? So I told him that it happened during martial arts class, of which he wasn't never a big fan of to begin. He was a boxer, so he liked to box.
Yeah.
So I told him what happened. He said, he said, I don't know why I'm wasting money and let you go there and get your ass whipped when I can whip it here at the house.
Free of charge.
Yeah, free of charge. You know.
But,
So.
yeah, it's funny too. I came back from Okinawa. You know how we're given choices? I get back from Okinawa to Norton Air Force Base, California, San Bernardino. This is 1966. There's no karate places in 1966 in the United States. So I'm at Norton Air Force Base, and this guy says, you do martial arts? I said, yeah. He says, there's a karate school downtown. And I'm thinking it's either back in 66 or either Shotokai, Goju-ryu, Shorin-ryu, or Shorei-ryu, because there was no offshoots. No Shitoru, Shitoru. So I said, so we drive down to it, Shorin-ryu School of Karate. I walk in, hello, and I tell him my background. He says, and his name was Mickey Janek and George Torvett. And Mickey Janek's brother was Tony Janek. He studied in Okinawa with Joe Louis. At the same time, Joe Louis was there.
And you and Joe studied at the same school.
Yeah, same school.
Different times.
He was there a year and a half before me. Joe's a year and a half older than I am. So yeah, we both joined the service right out of high school. So, and that's how we became friends. Because, and then I started working out there. And there was no tournaments in not in Okinawa. So, and then we're working out, and then Mickey Janek says, there's a karate tournament in Santa Ana, you want to go? What's a karate tournament? Because I didn't know.
Right.
This is where they have sparring and kumite and weapons and kata. I said, well, looks fun. You want to fight? I said, can I? This is before equipment or anything. Yeah. So I went out there and I'm watching these people. I watched Ralph Castellanos, Kempo guy from Ed Parker School. Walk around, black belt, I don't know how many stripes he had on. Had a black goatee here with a goatee, black hair, dyed black, everything. Black arm pads, black uniform, Kempo patch, black shin guards. It looked like a walking death machine. I went, pardon my expression, everybody, holy shit. And I'm glad he's a black belt because I only made brown, you know, because I was the short league at the time. And I went, wow, holy, he's gonna kill somebody, you know. And then I watched another. Now in Okinawa, only the Okinawans had the higher rank belt. And I've seen a guy walk around with 4 stripes on his belt, a Caucasian. That boy.
How'd that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be the baddest white guy in the whole world. Yeah, because he's got the beard too. I don't know why he got the beard too. But anyway, I go, shit. And then we got their butt beat because they were tough, had the rank, but the sparring is altogether different.
Right. And
I went, hey, I'm watching that guy spar, and I go, I like to do this because all I want to do is touch you and get the hell out of there. I don't want to go, yeah, because nobody said stop, so I get punched right in the mouth. And I said, the back fist is first, yes, was, but his counter was much better with my nose bleeding and everything. So I would get it in and get out real quick. So I took second place. Right next to a guy right after the tournament. As soon as he won my grant, we fought for. I was lightweight, he was heavyweight. He beat me 1 point in overtime, and that time they promoted him to black belt that time because he won. I guess he won every brown belt fight he'd ever had. Well, that makes me feel pretty good. But then I get out of the service. I come back to the United States, and I go to a tournament I beat Glenn Keane and all these guys. We go to a tournament in Lexington, Kentucky, the Mid-East Nationals, and I win it. And I got this, my head's about this big. I'm a cool stud. Then about a month later, there's a tournament in Kentucky. I'll go, I'll fight, I'll win again. So I go to the tournament. My first match is with a guy named Mike Foster. Mike Foster, probably 6'5", 6'6", 250, 260. We bowed in. I'm about from Augie to me. Sideways. I start itching my way in. All of a sudden I see him do this. He's got his hands on his knees. He goes, yeah. About that speed. I went, here it comes. Bill, get out of the way. And then you say, you can't get there. You can't reach from there to here. About this far away, you go, oh shit. Thump! And I'm sideways. Got me right here, you know. And I went, holy crap. You know, and he's still this far away. Referee goes, point. And I says, you're right. Yes, it was. So I turned sideways and I went, whoa. Twice, about 30 seconds. Scores, and that back then it was just 2 points for the. So that fight lasted maybe 30 seconds altogether. I bowed. He won the tournament, of course. And I bowed and I go, hold it now. Why should I just stand there? Because that's what we did back then.
Right, yeah.
And get hit. Am I allowed to get out of the way? I said, oh yeah, you. So that's when I started moving around. Because it, hit my hand. Now you hit, but see,
Right.
so what you do is, okay, so all these, so rather than take a really deep kibadatch, really deep, so it looks good. You can't move from it,
Gotta
but it
look
looks
good.
good.
Yeah, gotta look good.
So now you take about maybe shoulder width apart, maybe a little further than shoulder, so you can bounce and get in and get out of there. So how it's evolved from, because back then it was front kick, reverse punch.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody threw front kick, reverse punch. Nobody stood sideways. It was always like this. So that's what evolved for me. And you go, and how the things change and how everybody wants to be a
Ninja.
ninja. Yeah.
Ninja.
Well, the
Right,
funny thing
yeah.
too is back in 66, 67, 68, very few Korean practitioners didn't start coming around till early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So all the Japanese tournaments were throwing kicks were allowed,
Mm-hmm.
face punching was allowed, grabs were allowed, sweeps were allowed, takedowns were allowed. All of a sudden, they start having Korean schools, and you're putting a tournament on, and you're guaranteed to have 200 competitors, which is pretty good for a tournament. Then this Korean comes up and says, Mr. Briggs, I have one other student, love to fight in tournament, but we kick, very much kick. No like groin the kicker. And if you somehow take out groin the kicker, I can promise an additional 100 people, my student, come to fight in your tournament.
Money talks.
And to this day, because there's so many tournaments, there's only one reason to hold a tournament, and that's to make money.
Yeah.
Sure, you're world champion. Which world? We're national champion. Which nationals? You got the AWAA. You got the NASCA. You got WACO. You got all
these different
all these different organizations, and this organization won't have anything to do with this organization. So I'm this world champion, but they won't even talk to me. Who are you?
Right.
PK was at one time the biggest and largest, so that was great.
Right.
But now there's offshoots from that. So which is which?
Right.
The PK's here. So now you go, wow. So what happens is you go around and talk to people, work with people, train with people. So you get the reputation, and you get so it's all of a sudden now rather than having 200 competitors, you got 350, 400 competitors. And the crazy thing is, well, how come you can't throw groin kicks? Because these 100 people here said no. Well, I'm a groin kicker. And I says, well, if you're a groin kicker, you just bring it up a little bit further and take the front kick or the counter kick to the tummy. They didn't stop. They still competed. And then they control the punch to the face. Because, in the old days, I could punch you in the face. As long as it didn't bleed or knock you out, it was a point.
Right.
I could rock you and it was still a point. In the old days, not
Can't
only
do that
did you have to see it, you had to hear it. The thump. But now it's I could have killed you. I would.
Yeah. I used control.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You missed me.
Exactly.
You didn't use control. You
Yeah,
just
yeah,
missed me.
Yeah.
And that happened with Christy's son. As a matter of fact, I was telling you about that the other day when we took him to the tournament. And her son done exactly what I told him to. I said, John, it doesn't matter whether it miss you that far or that far. Just don't let it hit you.
Don't let it.
And John was ahead of him 4-3, few seconds left in the Kumite match. And the guy done a spinning hook kick. Come around John's head, and he moved back, and a foot come around, and John lunged in and punched, but they gave the kid
2 points for the hook kick.
3. They gave him 3 points for that
because he spun.
for that hook kick. And then he went.
I'll get it in a minute.
Then he obviously went ahead of him. There was a few seconds left, and he just couldn't, because John was ahead 4-3, and he got 3. So now he's at 6-4.
Yeah. Well,
But he did exactly what I told him to. I said, just don't get hit with it. And they're like, oh, he used control. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He missed him.
What's the purpose for the head guard? You can touch.
Right.
If you don't touch, it's a miss.
Right.
It's like I can have the fastest jab or the fast. I fought. We were talking about this before. I fought Vic Moore in Denver, Colorado, 1972.
There's a buddy.
And when I fought Vic, we fought twice before, and I beat him both times. We're fighting for the grand championship. I'm bouncing roundhouse kicks off his head. The referee slid off. What do you gotta do? How can a roundhouse kick slide off?
Right.
But okay. He throws a back fist this far away. Every flag in the whole place went up. Because it was his people, more or less.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, okay, it's a point tournament.
Right.
You 4 judges are the officials. If you don't want me to win,
You're not.
I'm not going to win no
Right.
matter what I do.
Yeah.
Because if I hit you too hard, I'll get disqualified.
Yeah.
So, and that's the beautiful thing about point tournaments. Your ego can come into play anytime. They call my points.
Yeah.
I had it in. And the terrible thing about point tournaments is if you go fight in a tournament, if you and I fight in a tournament, and I'm thinking I'm pretty good, and you just kick my ass, why should I keep doing this? So, I'm not gonna, I thought it was great, and all of a sudden he just beats my butt raw. So, you go, why go to a point tournament? So point tournaments are great in a way because you can judge what you're doing, but they're terrible because if you don't know how to play the game, and pardon me, but that's what it is.
It
It's
is.
a game.
It is a game.
That's right.
High tech
I
game
touch you
attack.
before you touch me,
Right.
and I think I could kill you.
Yep.
And
That's why I like kickboxing a lot better.
Well, when we first started kickboxing, there's a lot of point fighters that got into the kickboxing because that was the step from point tournaments to kickboxing. We find out real quick that they weren't very good
Right.
because they could rush in, score, but there was nothing by it.
Right.
I
Score
could
didn't
kill
hurt
him.
anybody.
Yeah. Now it's my turn,
Yeah.
and you hit him, and all of a sudden it's, can I go home now? Because you didn't have to be able to take a shot.
Right.
Now in the kickboxing aspect, you have to learn to take some punishment.
Right.
You know, that's when the comes out.
That recently happened in our school. 2 different tournaments. One of them was a point tournament, and then the other one we went to last weekend was more of a kickboxing. It was continuous sparring. So they continuous spar for a minute, they switch sides, do it again, and the referees decide who won the match. It was kickboxing rules. And our kids own that tournament, the kickbox, because that's how we fight in class.
Yeah.
We don't do this, oh, that's a point.
Yeah.
And we didn't do so well with the point tournament the weekend before it. We only won like 3 or 4 first places. But the continuous sparring tournament that we went to last weekend, we won 14 first place. And most of our kids were fighting up, you know, and they were just wearing them out because our kids are used to getting in there and mixing it up with people.
You know, see, point tournament takes no endurance at all.
No.
You come into a point stop. And there's 4 judges and the center referee. What do you call? Now all this time that you're this guy. And it takes probably 30 seconds, 45 seconds to find out there's a point called. Then there's no point called. Continue. Now your endurance is back to where you can last for 30 seconds. Well, you know, boxers are used to going 12 rounds.
Right.
I was fighting. I was used to going 12 rounds, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Or a 2-minute match.
Right.
I can go as hard as I can in 2 minutes, but kind of hard to do 12 of those like that.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So it's martial arts is growing by leaps and bounds. It's becoming huge. Up until 1974, 73, 74, changing the subject a little bit, there are no kids.
Oh, yeah. I made that same comment in their dojo the other night.
Do you know
when
what
I was
happened?
taken.
Do you know what happened?
And I'm going to tell you this.
Not only the Bruce Lee movies.
Nope.
No.
Not only were they no kids, but you very seldom saw a female in there.
Oh, yeah.
It was all grown men.
What happened in early 1973, 1974, Chuck Norris was on the Tonight Show with the youngest black belt in the world, 8 years old.
Changed the entire world.
Changed it.
Yeah. I didn't
Now
People
it's-
watch that, they
now-
see that,
yeah.
and they want to get their kid involved.
Now a school has 30 participants.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it has 75, 80 participants. Most of them are kids. But now you can manipulate those kids because they start to have fun. They start to, and they grow. They become assistant instructors, they become head instructors. Most adults do it just for something to do twice a week.
Or fitness.
Well, not even, back then, not even fitness because, you know, the class was an hour. Not 40 minutes or whatever, but it was an hour class. And half of that class was warming up and basic movements. I used to teach for Kong-Ryu in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was great. I loved the way he had an idea because it was a 2-hour class. The first half hour was just brand new white belts. Let's say start at 6:30 to 8:30. From 6:30 to 7 o'clock was just brand new white belts. Girls, kids, whoever was there. From 7 to 8, everybody, black belts, white belts, everybody went through the class. Then you kicked everybody out. Then it was only brown and black belts for the sparring. And
that is it.
oh yeah, everything's done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And which is good because the white belts get to see the adults, get to see the advanced people, and the advanced people can watch the second class, the kids coming up. So I can help you here. Rather have just one instructor going. And class is over at 8:30.
Right.
You go, wow.
But by the end, the advanced belts get to work on advanced stuff
Yeah.
too. So that's improvement.
And it was great.
Innovative way to do it. You won't see that
every
anymore.
day. You know, when the advanced class come on, today we're going to work out the or Hyung Korean. Okay, you do that for 15 minutes. Now we're going to spar. Everybody suit up, we're going to spar. And back in the early 70s, there was no fixing. So you had to control.
Right.
So no, you weren't worried about somebody getting hit too hard because you hit somebody push-ups. And you go, and I go, to this day, I haven't seen anything like that ever since. And you go, you guys are taking 5 hours to run 5 classes, and sometimes a class have 4 kids in it.
Right.
Now it's great for the kids because they get individualized attention.
Yeah.
But you got to say, how many kids have an attention span of an hour?
Right.
But they all have an attention span of a half an hour.
That's why she teaches 45
Yeah.
minute classes.
Yeah.
For kids. Now the adults class, we go 2.5 hours.
Well, getting back to the teaching. If I teach you something that you don't know, and you're starting to get it, and I say, okay, now come back tomorrow. Can we just do a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
Because I almost got it down. No, come back tomorrow. Now they want to come back tomorrow.
All right.
Keep that interest.
Yep.
All right, well, I think we're going to have to.
Well, I've got something real quick for both of you. I know it's not much, but I
Is
stopped
that a
at the-
challenge coin?
It is. I stopped at the veteran store on the way in to get you both something.
We're at Pigeon Forge?
Pigeon Forge. Yeah, I had some
Really?
extra time. Yeah, so I stopped there, and let me get it out of the thing if I can here. My hands are all wet.
Why are they all wet?
I'm holding them.
You could have put them in your pocket.
I could have, yeah, but I wanted to make sure I didn't forget.
I don't know.
So, brother, for everything you've done for me and stuff. So, here you go. This I know you got tons of coins, but thank
Man, I
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
A lot.
yeah. We worked together as cops in the Philippines. That's how we met, and I've trained under him ever since.
Air Force, all right.
Yeah, and a lot of people I know.
Retired.
I know people our generation know you were in the Air Force, but maybe the younger generation doesn't know, and they should. You know that you served your country, so I'll just go for it. I'll be like Cole.
What if I want to put it back in the bag now? Now I can't put it back in the bag and protect it.
I apologize.
Kids.
Kind of.
Kids. Young kids.
Can you believe it? I'm a kid. But thank you so much for your service to our country, and it's so appreciated in your service to the martial arts and all you've done for people. And you know, you said something earlier, and I know Soke thinks this, and Mary Beth, and everybody who's ever met you, but you go around and you treat everybody like they're the same, even though you've done so much for the art and so much for the martial arts. On my YouTube channel, my most views are you by far, 750,000 on a tribute one I did about a decade ago, and I think it's because of how you treat everybody.
Oh, thank you.
And when when it's all said and done, we're counted by how we treated people. So thank you so much for your service.
Thank you,
too,
sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Awesome.
I
cannot appreciate
just want everybody to know that this is what it looks like. This is the Air Force. You can see now. I also have a jacket that I was just given this morning by Mary Beth. And it's the Air Force jacket. And I'll be wearing it often.
It's a nice jacket.
Because it's a nice, beautiful jacket, lightweight. I live in Florida.
So,
To me, this is cold. When I go home tonight, it'll be 85 degrees. And you'll be cold. But thank you all.
we really appreciate
Thank you so much.
we really appreciate you coming up. Hopefully the Briggs Hacienda was good enough for you.
Oh, I
At
don't
a
know.
hotel.
Beautiful.
But
The dogs.
yeah, the dogs love you too.
Yeah.
You know, the
Thank
Italians, you die, you sleep with the fishes, right? I had to sleep with the dogs.
Yeah. But thank you for spending the weekend with us. And,
Oh, thank you.
My pleasure for picking you up and stuff like that.
Thank
and,
you.
And,
No, thank you.
You know, spending all those days. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure every January when we meet again. But this time it's really been nice. And I'm looking forward to this afternoon seminar there.
We're gonna have a ball.
Definitely.
I just want everybody to remember this. It only hurts for a while. Augie, it only hurts for a while. Then it'll go numb. So, okay. Numbness is okay sometimes.
That's right. Pain lets you know you're still
Yeah,
alive.
that's right.
You know? But we appreciate everything you've
Thank
done.
you very much,
And
sir.
thank you for coming up. And thanks, Ken,
Thank you,
for
sir.
that. And I know
Eat your hearts out.
And I know I'm your illegitimate son. So,
Isn't that ridiculous? I'm 17 years older than he is. And when he picks me up at the airport in Charlotte and says, "Hi, Dad."
and the Cracker Barrel on Christmas Day. The waitress is like, "There's a little bit of age difference here. Who's who?" And I'm like, "Well, this is my dad right here."
With Jerry Beasley.
Yeah.
With Jerry Beasley. And we're there, and Jerry goes,
He thought you actually were, or I actually was your son. You know, but it's
"It
always,
ain't so. It ain't so."
you know, well, you never know. Remember how you were at 17.
I was in the service. I was in the service.
Yeah.
At Lackland Air Force Base, to where there was only guys.
Yeah.
And we lived in a barracks that was World War II barracks,
Yeah.
matter of fact.
Mm. But
The air conditioning was
right in South Texas.
yes,
South
Yeah.
Texas.
San Antonio,
What month did you go through? Basic.
June through
Oh,
August.
I went over Christmas. It wasn't too
Oh,
bad.
Well, I was down there for 4 years as a drill instructor, so I saw the winters suck. But
I learned something really quick though. I joined the service at 17, right? I didn't shave. At 17 years old, I didn't shave.
you did then.
Yeah, you can go through the movements, right? All of a sudden, we're in formation, and drill instructors walking by, and he start going here. Puts his thumb in, and she goes, "Go get your razor." Back then, it was the Gillette razor where you took, put the blade in.
Twist it.
He says, so I went and got the razor, ran back. He says, "Shave,
Dry shit.
dry shave."
Oh no.
I made him do that.
And my face was a
Tore up.
you know.
Like a wildcat.
You stand this way so it wouldn't drip on your tips.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go, "I'm bleeding," and he says, the other guys are trying not to laugh. But
Yeah.
yeah, I said, "Okay, guess I'll learn how to shave."
Exactly. Yeah.
Spit shine boots. Now you buy patent leather boots.
Patent
But they don't even have those anymore.
Really?
Yeah, everything's OD green.
Oh,
You
that's
don't-
right.
you
That's
don't
right. That's
spit
right.
shine boots
That's
anymore.
you have cami boots.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're dress blues. They probably patent
When
leather.
I got out of the service, we had a long our pea coat, our winter coat was a long coat down below the knee, right? So I get back to I'm going to go to college, and my mother says, "Well, let's go get you a heavy jacket," because I remember the last year I was in San Bernardino. I said, "Well, Mom, why can't we take my winter coat, cut the bottom of it off, bring it up here and sew it, so it can be just like a navy pea coat?" Okay, see, because she was a seamstress kind of, so she did that. I wore it for 4 years. People said, "Where'd you get that neat coat?" Join the service.
Yeah. Uncle Sam did
Join the
it.
Air Force. It'd be really good.
Yeah.
Do that for 4 years. You know the crazy thing is, and just really brief. I joined the service when I was 17. 1963. What happened in 1964? Vietnam. And if I would have gone to college right after high school, I was wild. I didn't care about anything. I brought one book home my senior year because my teacher told me, if you don't pass this test, you're going to fail the course. I couldn't afford to fail the course, so I said, okay. So I studied for it. Got to be in the class, but anyway, so I'm there, and I'm thinking, after this is all over, I said, damn, if I would have flunked out, I would have been drafted into the Army. They would have sent me to Vietnam. What happened to 58,000 Army personnel in Vietnam? They died. And I'm going, holy crap. So, you know how we're given choices throughout our entire life? Some of the choices that we're given that we don't even realize that we were given. You know, my father wanted me to be a school teacher. That's why I went to college. He was a school teacher. I'm going to be a school teacher. I learned martial arts in the service. I come back and work martial arts all the way through college, going to tournaments, winning tournaments. My mother built a trophy case. Finally, she says, stop bringing trophies home. So I started giving them away. kids, you know.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, you know, they start something called kickboxing. And I picked to be the middleweight on the team. And up until September 14th, every day, my father would say, when are you going to quit doing this and get a job? Dad, I am teaching people.
Right.
I'm teaching more people doing this than I'd ever taught in a high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I enjoy it. And you go there, and when I was in Indiana, my father called me and says, I have an interview for you at Frankfurt High School in Frankfurt, Indiana. So I go for the interview to keep my dad happy. I do a good job. Now, my minor was industrial education, which I didn't care about. I just did it because it was easy, like most people did. So now they want me to teach metal shop. Well, metal shop, you know. So in other words, what you got to teach all these kids how to use the bandsaw, the lathe,
Right.
the circular saw, all these things. And you go, what are your chances of keeping all your limbs when you're teaching these kids all this stuff? Because you know a board's going to flop up and hit somebody, and it's probably going to be me. So I go back to Indianapolis where I'm living, and I'm going, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. My dad calls me up, and he says, I talked to the superintendent, they want you. And I went, Dad, let me think about it tonight. Okay, but it's not going to be there very long. So I get back to the school where I'm working. I get this call. My friend Herb Johnson says, you might want to take this call. Okay, hello? It's Red West. Red West is Elvis's chief of security. Just a minute, Bill. Elvis wants to talk to you. Hello? Hi, Bill. How you doing? I said, I'm fine, sir. How you doing? He says, I want you to come back to Memphis. I'm going to open up a place to work out for me, and I want you to run it for me. Huh? I want you to run my training establishment for me. And whoever I let, huh? He says, I'll pay you X amount of bucks, get you here, get you that, pay you this, blah, blah. And I go, yeah. You know, so I say, I accept it. I hang up and I go, how the hell am I going to get out of this situation with my dad? Hi, Dad, how you doing? Hey, put Mom on the phone. I said,
Was she an Elvis fan?
Yo, look.
Yeah.
We went in 1956, we went to see Love Me Tender. She took us. And I said, Mom, remember how Dad wants me to be a school teacher? She said, yeah. I said, you know, I don't want to bust his bubble or anything like that, but Elvis Presley just called me up, and I took a job working for Elvis. Mom, you on the phone? My dad picks up. What did you just tell your mother? I said, I just told her that I just took a job working for Elvis Presley in Memphis. Dad, you there? Now, so everything's okay. About an hour later, I get a call from Mike Anderson and Joe Lewis. Bill, we're starting a new sport. It's called full contact karate. We're going to go over, this was in April when they talked, we're going to go over the end of May and fight in Berlin, Germany. Great, love to. Sounds fun to me. He said, no, Bill, you don't understand. This is full contact karate. Yeah, no problem. I got no time. I said, no, Bill. This is to the knockout. You guys have a wonderful time. Enjoy yourself. I'll just keep
hang out with Elvis.
I'll do my point fighting. Do my point fighting stuff and think I could kill you. And and Mike said, "Oh, I got that." And then Joe Lewis gets on the phone. And what do we know about traditionalism? He was there a year and a half before me,
Mm-hmm. Right.
So he's my senior.
Right.
Bill, I hate to pull rank, but you're going to do it. I said, Joe, come on. And so I said, okay. But think about this. Of all the choices that we're given, what if I had to right off the bat sign that contract to teach at Frankfurt?
Mm-hmm.
Right. your life could have went totally
Oh
different.
yeah, but I retired 17 years ago from teaching. But
But you still wouldn't be enjoying life like you are now.
no. And you just in all the choices that were given. And then when I won the world championship, the crazy thing is, Mike Anderson wanted me to sign a contract with him so he could promote my fights. But there was a guy at the fights named Don Quine who had the ends with CBS Sports Spectacular. He and Judy Balabat, Judy Quine, were the presidents of PK. And they said, we would like you to sign vets because I can guarantee you this, and this. And you know how martial arts are about the guarantees. Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I went, wow, you know, and Mike said, well, I can do this and I can do this. Well, Mike was full of crap most of the time, but he's a good guy, I liked him. So I said, okay, Don, I'll do this. I'll go with you guys. So I signed a contract. And my first fight is, we won in September. My first fight is with Joe Corley in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Battle of Atlanta.
Yeah.
15,000 spectators. My first fight. I beat him fairly easy. And then things are good, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden now, okay, now, Bill, this next, I think it was next April, I'm going to fight on CBS Sports Spectacular, live. Live? Yeah. So I go to, it's in Las Vegas. I'm there. Now understand, I don't know anything about kickboxing. I was a good point fighter. I learned to box, like I said, I'll tell the seminar, I learned to box for two reasons. First reason was to keep you away from me so I could kick you. The second reason was to keep you away from me so I could kick you. But I found I had a good jab and a good left hook. So because I'm this side already, I'm sideways, so the counter's already there. So I'm there, I'm getting ready to fight, and people don't know this, people don't remember this. And I'm sitting there, I said, and the guy comes and says, who's your corner? What do you mean corner? Well, who's gonna work your corner for you? Because this is 12 rounds you gotta fight out there. Well, you gonna just come back and sit down by yourself? Who's gonna, where you? And I went, oh shit. And we're walking around the place, this is like 3 hours before the fight. And I go, holy crap. And Joe Lewis was there. I said, Joe, would you help me out? Because he was with my, when I was fighting Corley. He said, no problem. And Chuck was standing there talking. I said, Chuck, would you help us out? Because we're friends. He says, of course. And then Mike Stone's there. And I'm going, Mike, you guys want to help? And he, yeah. Now, this is ridiculous. Joe Lewis, Chuck Norris, Mike Stone. The three baddest dudes in the whole entire world. And martial arts wise, right there. In my corner, live CBS Sports Spectacular. And I didn't think about it first because we're friends. And then I'm standing there and going, oh shit. What if I get knocked out?
Pressure is on.
What if
yeah.
What if I lose? I'm going, wow. Luckily, I knocked him out with a kick in the second round. But you go, what are you doing?
Everybody's watching.
Yeah, it was the highest grossing CBS Sports Spectacular at that time. And I went, holy crap. And then later on, I got another, because I was the champion, I did a lot of kicking. People like to see that. I didn't get a Bum of the Month club. My guys were ranked in the top 10. So my next fight is 4 or 5 months away, and I get a contract. And they said, we're going to pay you $7,500 for the fight. And I said, hold it. This is live CBS Sports Spectacular. I'm getting $7,500. And they said, when you hear about these people making millions for a fight, it ain't so.
Ain't so, yeah.
Because think about this. You know who Derek Jeter is? Baseball player, right? Signed a contract with the Yankees for like $475 million over a 10-year period, right? $475 million. He was hired by some company to do a commercial. Now, it takes a week to do the commercial. And maybe he made $100,000 for the commercial. You got $475,000 over here, a million, all these zeros. And now over here, they're going to take a week out of your life, and maybe pay you $100,000. If you were making $475 million, why would you care about that $100,000 right there?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And you go, that's right. And look at all these boxers that are kicked. Muhammad Ali was broke. Muhammad Ali was broke. Yeah, died broke. And all these guys, Tyson's broke.
Tyson, yep.
All these guys. So, do you really make four?
Looks good on paper.
Yeah. Well, the reason for it is, and the way that I found out, when I was in high school, you go to a football game, a basketball game, a baseball game, $10-15. You go to a baseball game now, it's $150, $200 to go to the game. Popcorn's $5. A Coke is $7 to $10. Parking is $35-$40. Yeah. So you go, well, and we have to pay our players. But then I sue this guy for $450 million, and he pays me cash. So where does money come from? So you say, wow. You know? And they said, and besides, Bill, and this woke me up real fast because I had a big head. He says, if you don't want to do it, that's okay. We'll find somebody that does. And we'll build his name up. But it's right. They can find somebody, make him a good fighter, and build him up. I said, well, and besides that, this is the truth. Besides, they said, besides, Bill, if you're as good as we think you are, you're going to make a hell of a lot more money after you retire than you'll ever made in the ring. And they're right. Because after I retired, all the films, all the stuff, all the appearances, all the things that I did, and you're right. You know, what do you do for a living? I never had a job. I knocked people out.
What a job.
George Foreman said that. Nice show.
I knocked people out for a living.
Johnny Carson says, so George, what do you do for a living? Knock people out. Yes, you do.
What a job.
But it was,
All right.
it was just fun. You know,
I think we need to wrap this up so we can
Let's
get
go.
some lunch and get to the
I
seminar.
had a blast with you guys.
Yep.
Keep in touch.
Thanks so much.
Really great people. We're having fun. Remember, I get to kick people's afternoon. I get to kick a lot of people's afternoon.
Get to kick.
And oh yes, and Augie's not that tall. So much. And